당저 동반이 고미하게 냠는 제라야 되는 먼저 나보 네 제뷰 사답제 될래야 하는 지금 연락 준비권에 속사 되내기 전에 제라야 하는 거 지금 나 세디 나기 때도 안 롤이야 나서디 봐도 삼다 롤을 가르스 남기도 나만 르이셴바 진단간의 징기도 삼다시 되내기 나서도 하고 요도 되는 나와나 신식 두개 면도서도 제바지네 가는 줄이야 안 강 나와나신 강라이마도 랑문을 두바 매바 동상시 나요도 안 될이야 제지도 냠바샤제 조금제 다 되내기 르 누버디 바야 누버디 진단이 됐 누버 슈충조리 양 냠마나신 가디 나와나지 가리도 제바제 제홈제 양제는 동상티 대야 도스트 레어데 되네야 안 될이야 조금제 도스네 제홈나 조금 아니 제메 조금 안 되내기 나 세딩아디당 되내기 고로지 강삼지 지게 장바라지도 안데 풍부에도 파삼 당고래서 풍부에야 삼단하 지바시니가 안도신 제바지 제홈제 되네 풍부라신 주변 동바디 발로 동상샤도 될래 조홈제 되네 야 제홈제 도시 안디는 풍부에 나네 다만 넘버십 풍부디 되도 도신 제바지에 되게 침몰해서 안디네게 제바지에 타말이야는 강란 나와나 란신용의 주바 싸우기는 민도심비게 나 동상지 도시네 안데 샤용그래서 대디징아最近 쇼게다 되네게 komji rimbadir dusresene anzo shuisarwa.
Good afternoon. This morning we looked at the section, or started to look at the section, how to cultivate experience of the wisdom understanding emptiness. So before engaging in the actual meditation on emptiness, one engages in the preliminaries of visualizing the objects of refuge before oneself, then meditating to the preliminary meditations of sufferings of samsara and bodhicitta, and thereafter the accumulation of merit, as for example through the 7 limb prayer. Then, having done those 3 steps of the preliminaries, one is ready to engage in the actual meditation. Here, we need to first come to see how our sense of self appears and is apprehended. So, the first bullet point mentions some ways to get a clear feeling for how the sense of self appears, the person who is meditating, as well as recalling how the self appeared when strong pleasure or pain arose. Thereafter, having come to see how the self appears and is apprehended, one engages in, continues the process of analytical meditation, but here investigating to see if the way the self appears is how it exists or not. One analyzes, and then when it comes to recognize that the self does not exist in the way that it appears, that it's empty of existing in the way that it appears, one places one's mind on this understanding of emptiness and abides there. But when the mind of concentration weakens, or the object of emptiness is lessened, not held so tightly, then one once again meditates on emptiness through analytical meditation, again coming to see the pure empty state, and then again abides on that. One continues in this way again and again, this sequential meditation, alternating between analytical and placement meditation. And when one has some familiarity on meditating on the emptiness of the self, then one turns to the 5 aggregates, starting with for the first 4 aggregates, but having meditated on them, also placing great emphasis on the 5th aggregate, that of consciousness. And the style of meditation continues, seeing how the object appears, then investigating if it exists in this way or not, placing one's mind, abiding one's mind on the understanding of emptiness, and continuing to alternate between analytical and placement meditation. Then one continues, coming to recognize that nothing exists in the way that it appears. All phenomena are empty of existing in the way that they appear.
다 되네 공고제 다 되네 공나로 다 튼주로 간스 공고래서 지지 숨어서 다 토마르선다 되네게 토마르 고수급 튼주의 체삼 제네 네 튼저데 유나상한 나소 나위게 체 아니 반영으로서 녀외 랑외네 매신도 나위게 된지 규마점 인비게 녜시 지롱제스
Turning to the text, second last paragraph on page 27. Initially, start by meditating for sessions of about half an hour. When you rise from the session and various virtuous and non-virtuous objects appear, benefits and harm are manifestly experienced. Therefore, keep in mind with absolute certainty that whilst these phenomena do not exist in their own right, they appear dependently, like mere illusions.
당봉은 되게 검제 고주비 qabla ane 튼제 체가치 삼직제제 ane 검제 ane 마 직튼 삼자야 돼서 튼줘야 돼제래 나 되네 싫어 당고 나 되네기 나 내가 저게 되네기 검제비 qabla ane 검제와자 동반이 제바지 낸 동상하지 남바 차이도 될이야 조검제도 진 조검제도 안 제리야 다 튼줘 체위 제라 ane 유 나와 유 가른 나와네 나 상보로 신경만 나와나다 년보로 집에는 잘라 약보로 신에 매도로 약보다 가른네 약보로 나와나다 대양지 매도 닝바로다 되네게 양지 되네게 나와나다 되네 상와다 년바다 되네가 저기 되네게 다 자로 지나 잔님보 고야다 양지 잔민년바로 고야다 되네시 간에서 나와네 나위체 아니 아니 가르스는 연구에서는 지금 팬바다 뇌바세로 팬뇌세로다 가르스는 자님부 약보나나 소설식 팬을 깔랑하셔다 안지 자 민년벌을 고연했으면 야지 마디시시라지 연구로와 되니게 아니 지게 나요도 상한 가른 나요도 나요체 아니 소설이야 팬바다 팬뇌기 영화로 연구를 해제려다 영화 용외에서지
His Holiness advised that when one starts, one should start by meditating for sessions of about half an hour. So this time period is quite rough. It's not specified as half an hour. And within the session, though, one will meditate in the way presented above, including alternating between analytical and placement meditation. But then the rest of the verse talks about in between sessions, when one rises from that half an hour or so meditation session, when you rise from the session and various virtuous and non-virtuous objects appear, bearing in mind this refers to what one sees, what one hears, what one thinks about, and so forth. So all that one thinks about, the objects of thought, again, whether it's something one explicitly sees or hears or is thinking about, recalling or looking to the future, the way they will be experienced, so some of these will be virtuous and non-virtuous, and they will be experienced differently, some bringing benefit, some bringing harm. So this relates to how those objects are experienced about. So for example, if someone speaks to you in a pleasant way, or you hear music you like, then one has a pleasant experience of what one hears. But if one hears an awful sound or spoken to in an impolite manner, then one receives harm or experiences harm from the object of this speech.
다 가르삼 거라스나 가지고 가르삼로 가르탄 거라스나 랑궁외네 매신도 나위 된주 규마점레스네 진데니게 나와 상와다 냠바카레 나와이네 티치다 랑외네 나와 나시 랑외네 저거 자위네 요 말레스 그 땡징이 낭점라 봐서 그러다 낭점 나와마도 그 땡징이 되네 전질의 규단 gen질의 되네 나용 거르지 그래서 랑외네 주트바 나 주바 자위네 매바레스 제산 땡제 현실을 뛰어내 gen질의 뛰어내 낭점레스 제산 규마점레스 제데네 안두시네 삼로 땅제 데니기 녀바 텐투야게 돈달라 데니기 삼땅고레제레
This is what's described in the first sentence is the length of the session. In the second session, what will happen in between. In the second sentence, what will happen between sessions. Now, in the third sentence, how to think about this, how to relate to the appearances one has in one's mind whilst going about one's activities between sessions. And here, one takes the ascertainment or the realization from the meditation session and applies it now to in-between session, recognizing that whatever appears in one's mind, whether it's something in relation to something one's seeing or hearing or thinking about, it's just a mere appearance to thought, mere appearance to the mind. It does not exist in the way that it appears at all. Nothing that is appearing to the mind exists in the way that it appears. It is not independent. It is rather dependent on causes and parts and imputation by mind. And in this way, all that appears to the mind can be related to as being like a mere illusion.
Donyi ngone doje donyi gomwendi gi na donyi ngone do sarche donyi le nyambar sha gomne gomne anda denigi da jetoble shenje ane jige yugar na we ne chasan na shin dong na wa zama do rang ngone juba meba dong sang gyuma zamore se bege denigi samloji kortugo robada donyi do ne gomwenzel ya da gyuma zam sidu da anje bene chunang dawana zawana shin bene 지게 추당모 시우 장마치리아 세나고는 다위 마샤르도 추날마 다와시 통이 난주 민데 통야래 다와나 신진는 거디네 아주 다와래 균에 섬물아비 나전 그 수녀 나와르마도 다원에 말 섬거와 어디 나신다 돈이 또 한 가사디기 돈이 또 어느 공비게 제려야 제도블시아도 유가른 나와이네 덴베 덴진 저와 중화 마도 랑응원이 주버서기는 요 말에 규마다버리 선배되니게 삼로 코고 네바 진투고와 당아서 돈이 마도 봐서다 돈이 공비급려네 되니게 제바제 된 제곰제 조금제 되니지도 안디 제려야 아주 제직 단냠 되니게 제바 마제바장 치료를 발려가래야 이나라 미늄도 투에 나 파서 칼라사 되니 조두급 되니도 되니게 유카른 나베이네 어디서 나와나 신지 요 말에 된对你主巴的，你gyuma zamre da nawana shi gyuma na shi resen bege dene samlo de yana yando dus ta we na an dene gi ane jike donyi ge dawa de maje ge khabar yore so ma tanga de nambyun je ne ma jamba je je ro ba jamba maje ge ane ya yong khabar ngor ba de.
Those who have actually realized emptiness, when they are in subsequent attainment, or the period of time between meditation sessions, to them, whatever appears to their mind, they will readily recognize that it is a mere appearance and relate to it as being like an illusion. So another illustration, other than an illusion, that is often given is that of a reflection. So if one at night sees the moon reflected in water, one will recognize that whilst there's an appearance of the moon to the mind, one will know this is not the actual moon. It looks just like the moon, but it's not the moon. It is a mere reflection of the moon. Similarly, a meditator will recognize that whatever appears to their mind does not exist in the way that it appears. Just like a moon reflecting in the water may appear as the moon, but the meditator will know it does not exist in the way they appear. And so therefore, the meditator will recognize that all appearances to the mind are mere appearances. Nothing exists in the way that it is appearing. And therefore, it can be likened to an illusion. The meditator will be going through a process here to ensure that their realization of emptiness or their understanding of emptiness permeates their every thought, permeates their daily life. They will have known from their meditation that when they investigate, the object cannot be found to exist in the way that it appears. It is empty of existing in the way that it appears to. But when in times like now, going about their daily business, and investigation isn't being done, they will remind themselves that whatever appears to their mind the object does not exist in the way that it appears, but is rather likened to an illusion or a reflection and so forth. In this way then, they keep emptiness in mind, in the forefront of their mind, throughout their daily activities, and this aids their ongoing cultivation of the wisdom realizing emptiness.
ane je 조금 제다 조금 제 당보 조금 제 되네 조금 제 된 도신의 조금의 조금 림바신 제고래서 나데네 양지 튠죄제 되네기 다 동일의 제바 집에 내가 많이 뭐 튠죄에 내가 블라 먼저 가서 삼당으로서 유가를 나와네 안차사 안된도 기마다 그래서 베게 아니지 마도 나와 나셔랑 문으로도 요 말에 선배게 어느 수세 삼는 안에 양 당고래서 지다데 디 제바다다 튠참기 내가서 되니게 삼다다디 곰나니디 마 도시는 송사 주바라와.
His Holiness then has given us advice in the preceding points as to the preliminaries of our meditation session and various points to engage in for analytical meditation, as well as how to combine analytical and placement, alternating the two. And now His Holiness has also given advice in how to take what we have, or to utilize our understanding of emptiness that we gained in meditation, how to utilize that between sessions, where we relate to whatever appears to our mind as being like an illusion.
당보 고조디 아주 튠체하지 고조 제주에마 나는 민다지 집어와 참되데 공다되었을 때도 저거로 다 튠고시 상이되네 튠고시 고조데 가르쳐 버서는 당보디야 깨레스 대다를 튠고시 깨레 당보디 깨레 당어서 깨레 셰비 갑라 안 튠당보 고조 되네 튠이바디 나조세다 요자로세서 나조체 되네 치료체 되네 고모체 안 튠시암 되네 그 뒤수 쉬암데 튠시레 주시는 공고래지래 튠시사데.
The text continues. You should meditate in this way in 4 formal sessions in the early morning, mid-morning, afternoon, and at night. So this takes the advice from the preceding paragraph, where His Holiness says, for about half an hour, engage in meditation. And now in this next paragraph encourages us to do so in 4 sessions a day.
다시 조나스도 조나 인생 차고기 튠주단 예속당스. 당아주 뒤셋때 소소게 뒤셋망아 데 뒤셋게 당와다 소소게다 되니게 제투고에 봐이나 야 튠망아서 나지게레지 칠레망와제 이 조나스도 되니 소소게 니바 여바다 뒤셋당 여베나 아니 인생 차고기 튠죽당 튠예스 아니메 니마다 첸제 니메콜라 튠죽 광다라 튠 가사 니메콜라 레 튠숨제 용광다라 튠숨제 튠죽 차루와 되네기 튠죽제나 겁나지기레스 하나 튠예 니모디와 튠시 광다 튠시제네 튠예제 겁나지기레스 다디 소수게 남보 튠시제나 겁제 고미아랑 양데 소수게 지 고미아기 누버 슈체로다 주시 되네기 누바 당와네 튠죽제야 안 튠예제야 내내기 겁나 안 가르치나지기를 해야지 송도 인생 차고에 튠죽다 튠예 쏘다.
His Holiness continues, and just changing the start of the sentence, or if you are able to, you should meditate in 6 or 8 more sessions throughout the day and night. So here His Holiness is saying, if you are able to, referring to if you have both the time and the capacity, or the developed capacity, the developed skill to be able to meditate not just twice in the morning and twice before lunch and twice after lunch, but 3 times before lunch, 3 times after lunch, or even 4 times before lunch, or 4 times and 4 times after lunch. So where one has both time and capacity developed, one can increase the number of meditation sessions.
When
it continues, if this is not possible, you should meditate in only 2 sessions in the early morning and at night. So this is advice when one's time is limited, when one's life is busy, and or one's capacity is limited, where if one were to meditate more than this, one would find it challenging. Then just do 2 sessions, morning and evening. This advice is particularly applicable to those who need to engage in employment every day. For them, it would be difficult to meditate in 4 formal sessions each day, let alone 6 or 8. So therefore, the advice is, having come to gather this knowledge, then engage in meditation in the early morning, at the start of your day, and then in the evening, near the end of your day. And this is a way then that one can engage in regular, sustained meditation.
And do the Lele Twinshi Gomiada, Nimijil do the Lemena, Twinny Gomiada, the Negata, Sosu do Zeta, and Sosu Nibola Papi, Yazik, Mango Twinshi Gomina, Kaleshu Kagune, Sugar Twinshi, the Wanda Twinshi, Twinny, and Relation, and Duchin Gomna, the Garcina, and Gigoras, Sera.
We can also understand from this that if one is got a busy life and only able to meditate in the morning and evening, on those days where one has more time, or where one has perhaps more mental capacity, then do more sessions, do 4 or do 6, but keeping a consistency with 2 every day. On page 28, when your understanding and experience of the view of emptiness becomes a little stronger, ascertainment of the view will arise spontaneously during all activities, whether you are moving about, sitting, or lying down. And my dear Gablina, Dene Kangi Gabinea, Chelam Kundu Daviking Yapa, Namam Shushu, Chesa, Kala Rang when you druba said, Denega Tombani, Tingi and Java Juma, the Kala Rang when you druba, Yosama, Skumata, Winsers and Biggie, Samlodi, Shuk, Dinding, Yasi dus young grace, Samlona, the court who graces, soon as This paragraph shows what will develop within one's way of thinking through training in the way described in the previous 2 paragraphs, where in one's meditation session, meditating on the varying objects through alternating between analytical and placement meditation, one develops one's understanding and experience of the correct view, and then combining that with keeping the correct view in mind in between sessions, being aware that whatever arises to one's mind does not exist in the way that it appears, but is like an illusion. In this way, combining those two, combining that approach of both in session and out of session in the way described, then one will start to have the understanding of emptiness spontaneously arise within oneself, as opposed to have to be intentionally generated. And whether one is walking around engaging in activities, or sitting still engaging in activities, or lying down, one's understanding and experience of emptiness will spontaneously arise. So in this way then, the ascertainment or the realization of the view of emptiness will spontaneously arise during all activities.
동반이나 미별 하도 마주바나 동반이나 미별 실라 송제 세디 미용고마 디 동반이나 미실라 송제 곰발레테네 녀모바 사번 박차다 제바 빵고르 디나 동반이 또 바쯤이 남산 녀모바 빵도 매바로 인자 디네 동반이 또 불로디 뉴바 쳇다 디네 신에 디네 미별 하도 두 디네 실라 송제 차소데 디 르데 곰발레테네 녀모 빵고고르바 디네 인자 디네 동니라 미비 신에 매바로 동이 또 비기 하동 매베 신에 매버 살고베 디 순니 로소 셰버 자오스.
And so one develops one's understanding of emptiness, one's realization of emptiness in this way. One's determination to continue to meditate will grow ever stronger as one experiences the benefits of these meditations. And then the text continues. Also, since without calm abiding observing emptiness, one will not have given rise to a meditative insight realizing emptiness, it is definitely necessary to cultivate calm abiding. So here, one will, seeing the progress in one's mind, one will have the wish to strengthen the realization, deepen the realization by developing the strength of the realizing mind. Because it's only through having realizing emptiness with the union of calm abiding and meditative insight that the realizing mind, the mind that is realizing emptiness, will have sufficient strength to abandon afflictions together with their seeds. Therefore, one will strive to develop calm abiding and meditative insight, realizing emptiness. And the paragraph concludes, the technique for this should be learned from other texts.
Mm-hmm. Dene 동반이라 미비게 시네메나 동반이라 미베 라동 기마레스 마게바인자다 동반이라 미베 시네 자고레스도 시네 주고고레스고 셀고 주고베 다디 주수 시네 주탄게 저디 로소 셰바자스도 안에 슝샹다나레바 송샤게 델레데네 냠레 시네 주타디 안에 장고레 신고고레 신발제고레사제.
His Holiness here is not presenting how to develop calm abiding, but rather this should be learned elsewhere. And moreover, that calm abiding has to precede the attainment of meditative insight. But how to do so, His Holiness encourages us to learn from other texts.
람림 나 송거래 되게긴 내가 시즌 잠먹고 메시비게 되게 나 송에다 되게 흉망보 날다 지다 여러와다 저와당은 람림 나나 송바디 쉬시나 되게 여러와 람림 나 송거와 신이 좋다.
And there are a number of excellent texts that clearly present how to develop calm abiding meditative insight, such as several of the Lama texts, as well as the Ornaments of Clear Realizations by Maitreya.
Don't Kumbala Tene Yomo Papongo Baza, Tonyo Tokubi, Tonyo Tokubi, Kumsen, Kueva, Dene Tony Chevachera, Chasan Sun Chache, that the Negi Chevachen, Casada during the Joatilla, Tombani, the Comiagi, Comna can scumbo recipigeta, Tombani Tambo, some down Comnadi, there's this Joho Chehom Chet, and Johom Chetusin, Tampo Kang Maite Docom, Dene Pumbet in the Com to Chevache or Esa. That you come not, and come big twin de la Casici Oresene, and twin she come na Yahores, and do sit down by and so you can be job at the Tustab and the twin truth and twin gage and come na Yahoyore. And then again, Jingo, Lagato, where to say Madawa than you be much over in twin Toran, twin cheek down, on that twin years in the come that take it on those sinem. And that was songe. That is that didn't come send Tomba in door beta, and do so community. Tombanis said the topic at Tawadian, the Lolly and Nanga Shushu, the Pashi Tomba to war, Regeta, Nanga Shushu, that Rangon is our Yomare, symbolic Nanga Shushu, quite Jimo, called Ransing, called Lamsa, Dizudine, the Negatoni Tower, the chamber, that Pashi Tony Dos, Togi Sara. The names are that the Leo, the undercarriage was in Tony Lemibishine to Koreas. Senior to Kore. Then it don't let me be senior to Sane, and don't let me be allowed on to Pokores. She's not only me, she loves on the set to Pokores. She's not that senior to Tidy, and the Shumshan, and Lemrim Chambala Sobatustin, Shun Pat, Dachin, then Lobjoja or such, not divided this on the other.
This concluding section, His Holiness has briefly mentioned why one needs to realize emptiness, also briefly refer to what is meant by emptiness. But those two sections were expanded on in detail earlier on, and here it was summarized again, the sequence of meditations to engage in order to come to realize emptiness, or to internalize the view of emptiness, starting with the self, then the aggregate, in particular that of consciousness. Now, finally, we've looked at that His Holiness encourages us to engage in this meditation, not only repeatedly over a sustained period, but in 4 sessions every day. And when we gain some familiarity with a meditation on emptiness, to do so in more sessions, 6 or 8, and so forth. Or if one's life is quite busy, then just 2 sessions for now. And when one then comes to the point of having actually gained a realization of emptiness, a deep and profound understanding, then one needs to focus on developing the union of calm abiding and meditative insight on emptiness. This starts with first cultivating calm abiding and thereafter meditative insight. And how to do so is found in several key texts, such as some of those on the Lamrim.
Den tamadile gar songorasne dedar tayu kor shelo zamimba sore shebi shelo zamimba sida nyamnyong gyudola kyawa nyamnyong gyudo gekenshi inkugures aje inasor 제자당은 저기 디소라 따위게 대달 따위 꼴 실로 좀 민바시 당한 저기 따위 꼴다 동반이세 내에 겁나 되네레서 파직 파랍셰바지 된데된데 요레서 파셰바지 동반이세 되네시라고다 가자 되네레다 되네 가다 되네레다 삼단데 겁나 되네 고모르다스 대신아 주지 셰바나 파셰 신바다 되네지 레서베 하고와 잠지 안에 똑바 줄이기야 말때 냠뇽 소소 냠뇽 된거 냠뇽 싸와고 그래 제대로 제가 냠뇽 매바이나 되니게 따위 거파 조탄 직조탄 셰바 점지 이거 말해서 그래 대다 따위 거 셰로 점 민바르제 셰바다 디거 파 디디레스 하고와 좀 많이 봐 아니 가르고 그래서네 냠뇽 유체라고 그래 냠뇽 줄이기 그래서 다도 신의 소수기 셰바나지 소수게 삼로당 제바제 두신 대시 셰바는 공바데 수만나진 제홈제 되는 조홈제 두신의 삼로 냠용 유래 개와지고 고래마도 냠녀 되니가 소소리야 냠 되니가 마공바이나 안 되니게 따위고 지게 하고 와다 셰바점니 지가 말에 사송스러
If you do not wish your knowledge or the view of emptiness to be merely intellectual, but rather wish to experience it yourself in your own continuum, you should build a foundation for this through what has been explained here. So in conclusion, His Holiness is encouraging us. Don't leave this knowledge that you have gained as a mere intellectual exercise. This is insufficient. Rather, you all have tremendous capacity to transform your mind, to transform your mind through gaining deep transformative realization of what has been presented in this text. So don't be content with mere knowledge, but rather apply yourself to meditation on what you have learned. Through engaging in the meditation sessions as described here, and the structure of each session as described here, for example, alternating between analytical and placement meditation. This is the method to gain realization, the combination of repeated meditation over a sustained period in a skillful manner based on the knowledge gained in this text.
다 동반이세 다와 파지 암줄 지도 내마 퇴세 소소 디니레스 파르 셰바 잠에 마임바 안에 소소기 디파 가니스투스 셰바나 소소기 삼모당 곰제 소소를 냠뇨 템바 제고레스 월다 냠뇨 템바 제고레스 마도 디 냠뇨 마템바이나 안 소소기로 똑바 길리기 투마 말와 마곰바나 제마 제바 마제 제바제 곰 마제 디주게 셰바나신 제바제 곰 마제바나 똑바디 다와 똑바디 기투고 말아 마도 반자 이제 귀여 바진 된데 셰바진 두고 말서서 냠녀여 바지고래 지고래 디제발라 로로 공고래스데 용 귀라 귀토도 개와시고 그래서 개개지 있나 하선데 공고래 사단다 난절려도 슬랍지 난거다 디 공고래 사지.
This verse, or this sentence, like the whole text, take as direct advice from the mouth of His Holiness to you. That He's saying that you've heard so much now on emptiness, what is meant by emptiness, why it needs to be learned, and how to meditate on that. You've heard a lot, you would have understood a lot. Don't leave it at a mere intellectual understanding. That is insufficient. That is insufficient to lead to the transformation that all beings long for, the transformation of the abandonment of the afflictions and the attainment of lasting happiness. For that to come about, one needs to take this information that you've gathered, this understanding that you have gained through hearing these teachings, and then meditate in the way that was presented this morning, repeatedly over a sustained period. That and that alone is the way to bring about transformation, to gain realization, deep inner experience of what is presented here. So therefore, His Holiness is directly encouraging us to meditate in the way that He's just presented.
ko changju kablia chimen bige shasu changta den che gore se de che gore se phacha chi ke pha chi lamne ko sosu ge nyamnyo masa be nyela ne membe dilia chi kishtiwen ode shasu den che gore di che gore se de chasan ji she yor wada ineda koron nyamnyo masa ba ngosu da 결혼 shasu dan lamne 되스갈 하고 지기로 와다 다다 차도 말와 디네자 아니 디나신아 지게 따위 거디 셰여 봐체 디네디네 셰여 봐체 다 소소 냠냠메나 디 갈하고 차거로 봐 도고줄레 기투 말와 디네자 디나신 멤버리네 당보고 지차상 장세위지라 강준다 냠냠진의 파샤주 멤버 샤주 당은 념도简单 춘춘주 당기 냠냠사 그 냠냠 야고 사야데 제마 코란 지부리네 샤주 멤버 차투고 마도 그 장와 잠기 아니 그 델야 냠냠마 사바네 갈하고 차고 어디 난시 나주게 따위 조다디게 디니디리 세데 그 네팔로파 Lobsang Dorje the dinerations been subtral mason how go at Zamgi and the Topaculic made a Yamyon was a Kigoma. She's a dinner is a Midigumar. She's a dinner is to go home Jedpa. Yamyon was too much cookery. Said that the member Kava, Shashitan, member Chine, Quajan Zamayan Boconian and the Pasha Tane, Yamyon too much cook or water, or dinner she cook or water.
You can understand the points His Holiness is making here through the analogy that if someone studies how to be a surgeon but never gains experience, all this vast knowledge over many years of study will not achieve the full potential. This person with such knowledge will be of very limited benefit in society. Whereas if they, having gained their knowledge, they continue their training under the direct and close guidance of a skilled teacher, then they will be able to develop their skill in a way that can be of great benefit to society. So we should take that as an example to follow. You have all gained much knowledge. And this, we need to continue the process of integrating through meditating in the way presented here. Then there will have been great benefit to the knowledge that has been gained. Whereas if the knowledge is just left as merely intellectual, whilst there certainly is benefit from these imprints, we will not be achieving anywhere near our actual potential, what we all can achieve in this life. Similarly, someone who tries the opposite approach, who has an interest in meditation and is trying to meditate on a topic such as emptiness, but lacks the knowledge, their potential will not be achieved because they haven't gained the full foundation of knowledge on which to meditate. And just like we'd want our surgeons to be trained under the close guidance of a skilled fellow surgeon, so too for the meditator on emptiness, they need to also be relying on a skilled teacher, being closely guided.
In Madiwa, Nyamnyo, Yuto to Kekenshina, so that Nyamnyo, Gule, Kiagiton, Kiagita, Kiagudu, some big Dinik Pesu Chicken Chimbaina, and the Garchi Orelana, Gondo Sheba, Namji, Shichi, the Jingazunelia. Nyamno, Yuto to Kekenshi, Quena, Inas. I did you lost on it. Nyamnyong. The gang de Dambolo, the Gilojo de Yamnon, Yuto, Kekenchi, Ina, and go to Sheva Namji. I did the Kodidua, eh? The Kodidua. Yamyon, Yuto, Kekenchi, Ina, Yamyon, Yule, Kigugu, Ina, and the Garci Orson, go to Sheva Namji, Shiji, the Diginelia, Garcia, Tony, Tawa, Chevas, Gomna, Mashera, Dizu Yabu Chang, Dambo, the Chang, and then. Samo Tenbig do Tenjue Dang, Sidu, and Dongbani Tenbig, Dodan, Tenjue Pa, and to Low Res, Dodan, Tenjue, Detagi, Control, Bugi, Keba, Yamyo Jengi, Sidu, and Ben Gashung, Dongbani Tenbig, Dodan, and the Gombulu, the Padan Dawala, of Tenbig, Tenjue them. And the Gomba Jessi, Bugi, Keba Namki, and Dushi, Gomba Jessi, Denegi, Shunglia, Tursam Jewel, Dambo Tursam Jewel, Edge. Somewhat temper, Dodan, Tenjue Tang said in that Divado. Delia. On Tursam Jewel, or Dadilla, Dodan, Tenjue Tang said.
To read the first two sentences together. If you do not wish your knowledge of the view of emptiness to merely be intellectual, but rather wish to experience it yourself in your own continuum, you should build a foundation for this through what has been explained here. And in accordance with your mental ability, you should study and contemplate the sutras and treatises which teach the profound view of emptiness, as well as the excellent explanations of them by experienced Tibetan scholars in their commentaries. And what's implied in here but not explicitly stated is, as I mentioned in the previous segment, that one should be accompanied on this entire journey of both accumulation of knowledge and the integration of that knowledge through meditation. One should be accompanied by a skilled guide.
대다게 공제 부기 개바 냠묘 전체 레버 셰바 남라 랑 류뉴버의 뒷비도니 퇴삼지 오래시데 다디 공제마 안지그 제르무 제라서 바데 되니게 부기 라마 개바미기 도다 땡지그 동이 도베 다와 냠린 지다지마 공부 제셔바디 대설마 안 소수기 도시는 뉴버 삼비도네 바 냠묘 퇴삼지 오래시 뒷비 퇴삼다 퇴삼지에서
And moreover, one shouldn't be content just with what has been learned here, no matter how well one has learned that. One should continue one's process of gathering knowledge, of studying and hearing teachings on great texts such as those by Nagarjuna and Chandrakirti and Tibetan masters such as Lama Tsongkhapa. In this way, developing the wisdoms arising from hearing and the wisdom arising from reflection.
데니기 안에 퇴섬제도 퇴섬다 젤 랑게 냠뇽 기수시도 진 퇴섬제네 또 말씀들 수수를라 냠뇽도 두수 냠뇽 리고레스 데네 디마제 첸덴 냠뇽전지 케베 담가 송도 제비 권에 롭고에서 롭고바 라소시데다 제사다 데니게 소수게 두신의 퇴바제 데니게 삼당 두신의 소수기 냠뇽야다 야지 데니기 냠뇽 동반이기 지 냠뇽 유케 라마 냠뇽 전 디솔바 라마티 라메게 케비기 담가트 바nye 담가슈 라마절 두신 다 소수 냠뇽 니데니데 용구도 니디 다다 차기도 두고 빈스야 슈야다 데네 라메기 마 담가나야 데네데네 두신의 삼당을 센 두신의 라메 담가나제 두신의 소수기 퇴섬 곰숨 퇴섬제 곰미제다 데니기 라메기 라말야 직 담가 주제 라메기 바 순나제 데니기 랑기 냠내제다 라메기 바 담가 제야다 디 송제 토네 안도시네 냠나지 롭죠 제고레에서 롭고에 라소스 데네 롭고고레 해시리다 다나 라메 담가는 소스 직부장야 삼다베네 소스기 노르데베네 결혼디 노 요사지게 메로하다 지들이 놀겨 차려와 제가 데니기 야지 yarge droma to barachine samtana matang thone ya yarge droma tugumen ne lamide okona samne den stangor dita tene kombore seping lamegi ma da sochu lamon nyamyojen korongi an tu tuchene ne ma damga nangores on duchene komne an tuchene kombaine nga tongi to pe tawadi ngo kombe to yagi tisi ese kombore ese sonya diredo
The purpose of this final paragraph is guidance from His Holiness on how we should develop our experience of emptiness through gaining ever further knowledge and continuing to integrate it within ourselves by repeatedly meditating over a sustained period. And the text continues, as you are doing so, you should train making your own way of cultivating experiences of emptiness to accord with the authentic advice of an experienced and wise scholar. Here His Holiness is presenting, or explicitly stating, what has been said throughout the commentary to this text, that one needs to be gathering knowledge and at the same time integrating it. Not merely gathering knowledge to one day integrate it, but one should be, whilst one is receiving teachings, should be meditating on that. And moreover, one should be relying closely on one's spiritual teacher, because without relying on one's spiritual teacher, one is likely, or one certainly will take wrong turns, will reach cul-de-sacs, and one's progress will therefore be very slow. Whereas when one relies on a teacher, One can check one's meditative experience with the teacher, seeing if one is progressing in the right direction, gaining guidance based on his profound knowledge and experience on how one can deepen one's own experience. And in this way, one will receive direct and personal spiritual instructions, guiding one in one's meditation.
강기 제 동의게 따위 남샤 제바 제타 안 동반이 공부의 김센시 되니 동반이 공나 심바데시 다되네 공네 안나 주기다 튠기 튠데네 되는 시월에 세송 다되네기 안니 될래야 안 공부의 동의 제바 제야 돼 동반이 되게 따와 너다 댄줄을 튀삼제 안디야 지게 된다지 세부 차이가 된다래야 아니 베기 라마남지 케바남지 바제시비 공부 도다 댄줄 바 퇴삼제 데네 소수의 냠녀다 아니 데니기 동반이 땜기 라마 동반이 또 냠녀 코로나 곰니 냠녀이 쟁기 라미기 남가라 데네 아니 공고리에스 두시는 공반에 아니 지야기 두고리에서 나서 탈바다 탐지김be 고바 토야 되네 톱투고리에서다 안디 바도 슈차바레 나데는 마 아니 야음지기다 두스네 다 데니기 송비게 개와디 개왕오와다 안 데니기 디레다.
In this final section, then, His Holiness has presented in a clear step-by-step layout of how to meditate on emptiness. And now, in this final session, we've received his advice on how often and for how long to engage in these meditations, as well as how to engage in between sessions. And now, lastly, he's mentioned that we should not leave it at what we have gained thus far, but continue to study and continue to integrate what we are studying, and the whole while relying on a teacher, on their direct and close guidance, and their ongoing direct spiritual instructions to oneself. And this is the way to progress towards the attainment of liberation and enlightenment. Then, very lastly, comes to the dedication from His Holiness.
여름 제된 마가르송 것은 디리베 레종 계속이 대대 랑신 심진군 타자딩이 통위미 톱대 장치 링주쇼 세지 소마레.
Through the collection of virtue arising from my endeavors here, may all sentient beings longing for happiness, myself and others, attain the eye which sees reality free from extremes, traveling to and reaching the land of great enlightenment.
디리베 당고와 개왕고와 시라 디리베 레종 계속이 세디 아니 다 데네게 자람치기 숭셰베기 데네게 땡주 될야 퇴섬 곰숨 제제다 다 자람치 그런 거 숭비게와 데네게 숭셰베게 숭발 땡주에 개와 초아지제 다된 자람치 숭셰베기 데네게 땡주 될야 되녀기 매버이간 쪽에야 퇴섬 곰숨 진 퇴바제네 개와 사시베 개와 디소 차상 될라 데네 안에 가르거스네 기회 초아디솔라 데네 대뒤 랑신 심제군이시 대화되바 동아 타달을 전인 대화되바 심지어 탐제 대화되비게 라신 심지어 탐제 대화되바를 제자 대화되비 심지어 탐제 타를 니니 통위 믹스데 타라스데 타니다데 우마 동반이 데니 통위 믹 데니 도베 로시오레 데니 도베 로 톱데 안디 동이되다 don달라 동이되베 로데 톱데 아니 디 공발에 때네 타라 아니 장첸 장주첸바 산교고방 장치 링도 죄쇼스데 산교고방 토르쇼스베 디니게 개와디 델라데네 산교고방 토르쇼스 두시는 오와 변나마레와.
His Holiness dedicates both the merit that he has accumulated through composing this text, as well as the merit that those who have an interest in this topic and the merit, and thereby the merit they would have gained by studying this text. All this merit he dedicates to all sentient beings, not just those who study this text, but all sentient beings without exception. May all sentient beings attain now the third line, come to realize the emptiness as presented, come to realize the middle way view. May all sentient beings through this merit, come to realize the middle way view, and thereby, the fourth line, attain full and complete enlightenment, attain Buddhahood.
다디 덴주에 소야 좀야디다 소야디데 되고바로 시승고래데 제바디니 삼 데니게 제바디네 zemni sharnu kunju losa nangchu dunye jenjidang lakbar che sabjin chaibi dame be doni yu dun shebro dekyang ume shunglu gechenbo namla lobkom mebe mebam bege tok yuebi tenju la dado minuba namla penche ki shandado gyuan di le sang gode zor songi isa shage kana tenzin gesu tiba gelesu kyuchik sede danda la garson sharnu kansa shubige da denigo lodan riba yugen doi nacholo dönir yoba ani jige dongbanyi dayu go denige jeba komya lojon che deba yugen zolya ani düse an jige deba yena ya da jige shung chenbo dayalya düse makomba 야나 안지그 보이게다 되는 보이 마신 바살아야 로마도 봐 제도 안제설야 안도시네 인지 돈받 직도 송바래서 디서 직 판야 체도 안제설 미지 송바 인시 나나지 송도와.
Coming to His Holiness's colophon. When I read it, I'll add a little bit at the after the word east and west. There's a bit that I missed. This has been written for the sake of helping in general those with burgeoning intellect in the East and West who have a keen interest in Buddhism. So I'll miss that bit out. In the East and West who have a keen interest in Buddhism. And in particular, those who, though they wish to understand the greatly profound and subtle meaning of the emptiness of selflessness, either do not have the time to study the great Madhyamaka texts, or cannot read and understand the treatises existing in the Tibetan language. Thus it has been composed primarily with the intent of easy comprehension and for the sake of simple translation into other languages. May this which has been written by the Buddhist monk Tenzin Gyatso bring virtuous goodness. So as the colophon says, His Holiness has composed this for those who have an interest in Buddhism, in particular in the actual view of emptiness, but who lack either the time or the language skills to be able to read the many tremendous qualities, commentaries in the Tibetan language.
Bengaya mina lui dasam gyuri gela gundune di le son duzu dona tenjun songchu losa lore jeje do dodu tsigi dirshe ja ando sine le da dang zum da me di da ngang zu ya chike ge lumbu chilia chik do sine chinye che sarare dang chasalya 안 되니기 우미 따유고려 즉 퇴월 즉 퇴섬으로 지금 뭐 제야라데 고갑디 배하고 충월에 대체사 땅아 주게 동반이 세도 매바인 마도바이네 되니기 우미 따유고 동반이 고려 바샤 멍부 샤요래 제사 땅아 지금 예즉 시에 당아 주게 친 신인 제비기 디기도 내다 바샤 멍부 샤요래 제사 되니자 디에네 아도 마오바나 양치 소수게 동반이 제바네 데 도야리야 근데 뭐네 지게 건진 도야 뉴로아 도야 뉴야다 근데 개발된데 요 차이로 때 계획이 봐도 매바지 사요로 받아.
That concludes the text, and Kenla read for auspiciousness the first few paragraphs from the start of the text. And this now brings us to the end of nearly 2 years of looking at this remarkable text. And in that time, we've had the opportunity to hear a detailed explanation on the Middle Way view, as well as in this to reflect on the meaning of reality. And from this, we can be certain that you've gained tremendous imprints of exceptional value. And from the quality of the imprints that you've achieved through hearing well as through your endeavors to reflect on what you've heard, you have the exceptional basis through continuing to train in the way His Holiness has presented in what we looked at today, to quickly realize the actual view of the Middle Way.
And dene shiri dowa chisan tenjin chawa chungwa kanglai mato ramyo ni matrupa sayada dene ke mungpo shido da tongpa nyi kuwa ro chida dene chila tongpa nyi lagu dowa senpeke da dene chi resimbe kuwa rakpa ro chi nganzu tula dos chine nganzu ki chiki shekya yun tenji nganzu ki la yeyo rwa da.
Whether you have realized emptiness or not, what you have heard so many times is that everything one thinks about, every object of thought, does not exist in the way that it appears. This has been heard many times, and not only that statement, but what it means. So from this alone, tremendous benefit will have come.
군로야 제 semjen 탐지게 된다 산주 고반 투비슈 돈이 공고래 세세도 진짜 잠바다 인지 공고래 장주 셈 공고래 세다 닌데기 시도 군로다 되네기 장주 셈다 동바 잠인지 고라셔야다 장주 셈 안디 장주 잠인지 세되는 시 장주 셈 세되는 시 세다 닌데기 돈에 아주야 로조가라 간삼 지라요로 와다 지나다 동반이 고면 자주 셈 잠니지 공부래 동 자주 셈 공부래 세 군노 되는게 주의제 안 동반이 공부래 세도 다 아주 잠니제단 자주 셈기 모드에다 대속이 바차돼야 지리교로 와제 그래서 그 신시도에 대리시교로 와다 당보 차과침에 제반에 셈지야 탐지 산조 고발로 동반이 공부가 디 공부라 니제 공부가 니제 공부에 자주 셈기 오래세데 군노 자주 셈 진비团的 동이 공진 산요 고바 토고로세 되는가 땡아주 시디걸 망체데 잠니제다 자주 셈 안되네게 동반이 되네 걸 망고시에로 봐 제대로 동반이 좀 마임바 잠니제 자주 셈 남기로 다디게 아주 갈라강 삼지 간저 시에요 되네서 되네게 돈에 이제 갈라강 삼지 간저 롭션시라요로 와다.
And this text has been explicitly presenting the Middle Way view, the teachings on emptiness. But occasionally explicitly, such as on the section we covered most recently, last night and last time, on the paths and grounds of the Mahayana, where bodhicitta and its importance was also presented. And implicitly, regularly throughout the text, the topic of bodhicitta was come up. In dependence on one's aspiration to develop bodhicitta, develop love and compassion within oneself, one will also have come to recognize the importance of meditating on emptiness in order to fulfill the aspirations of a bodhisattva. So therefore, all these reflections of emptiness, love and compassion and so forth need to be continuously developed and integrated.
아디네 자당한 주선음 사야딜야 랍치쇼디 잠니죠 거미야다 장슈셈 거미야 동방이 디비셔로 거미야 삼다 딜레 하바지 아주기 선음 사야메레 딜레 지 콤바이네 삼다베네 된 선음 바도메바 사이고레스 송반자다 아주기 달로 지 데네기 링리야 뒤수긴 루빌이라 잠니제다 장슈셈 겁나 근데 동방이 거도시네 지기 삼나다야다 데네기 증어주 진행제와자 디 돈행아줄이야 쇠남선은 쇠남 빠도메 봐 사요래 지난때 쇠남 등한 저기 미기 통고 말되네 나서 셈기 규이대도 셈규대도 요래 주요반자 마음바나 야디니게 셈규 뉴바디 대요반자 디 뉴바 요바자 마음바나 롭션제도 뉴바디 쳐줘야 차고래 그래서 쇠남 빠도메 봐 사요래 미기 통해기 숙로부 주반다 때 마시 첨부 차되요래 지난디니 인장아서 쇠남 빠도메 봐 사요래 다디 인장 당아서 쇠남디야 야, 근데 개와디야 양오와게래 갑수바바데 자유래.
So in this period that we've been looking at this text from February 2021 until now October 2022, you would have been listening to these teachings on the profound view with the motivation of coming to realize emptiness so as to fulfill the aspirations of bodhicitta, to be able to bring lasting happiness to all beings through our own spiritual development and attainment of enlightenment. With such a motivation, vast stores of merit have been accumulated. So through meditating on love and compassion, extensive accumulations of merit are attained, and through reflecting on wisdom or on emptiness, vast stores of accumulation of wisdom are attained. So these abide nowhere but on your continuum. If they were to take form, they'd fill all the worlds in the universe. But these vast stores of merit abide on your continuum from your endeavors over this 2-year period.
Dene neamji genji nga zo chosa marabada dene ke ganga mo chungyor de ina da nga zo genje re da nga zo SPC re ando shene an ji 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 han de tone an nga zo chuche ya go yo di tone da nga zo ge dene ke xie je ne go pra re je san dene ke xie re go pra re je san dene je san dene ke tunje an ji ge zo mi se ber me che da nga zo gyarum che dene ke song she bi Dene tuje다 당아 저게 대야 안에지 연전다 안에 스페셜에 안데 리지 거리자야 참여 주지len지는 지 안에 제발라데 안데 가 저게 바라들레가레간 제 당아레가 차상기 아 저게 다 결혼 저게 내 년해데 결혼 저디 용와다 디 내가 시야로 지상아 차상래 튕기지 좀 전에 데네 제지 주게 여봐래 대지주의 여반나 양지 년개지면나 시간주에나 안지기 용야야 말에 양지 시간면나 년개 여반나 대야 용야 말 세상 대지지선 차상 여바 안지게 지기 년개 여바 내리 시간 여바 진짜 차상게 좀 발을 때네 만족게 개와 빠도면 봐 사와데디니 중화래 그래서 그냥 만족게 자위기미 조야 삼다베네 서브르미체다 라마이시기 투지게진 근데 여름치 조 여름치 투지게진 온도 안데야 타르도네 점바상에 점난데기 투지게진 온도 차대요 데네자 데네기 당아서 게진 지수 잼비 토네 마서 개와디야 근데 심전 참지기 되달래야 안디린 등오와로 지더두시게 두수제
That we have been able to spend this time together that is not inherently existent, but came about in dependence on a vast number of causes. And in this time together, there would have been challenges and obstacles, but these we were able to get through together. So in dependence on each other, we were able to gather here and receive these incredible teachings. Here we can reflect really on the vastness of the dependency that was required for this opportunity to come about. Principally, we think of the kindness of Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche. But in addition to this incredible kindness of these incomparable beings, there are also a wide number of people that we can explicitly think of. For example, all those who ensure that this Dharma Center is still here and flourishing. You can think of the current director and the past directors, the current SBC and the past SBC, as well as, of course, students like Tepel, who have contributed so much to the success of the course. And moreover, to have the teachings such as these, one requires a teacher, and to be a teacher, that comes about also in dependence on a vast number of causes and the kindness of many. But for someone to engage in teaching, there must be those who have an interest in being taught, and not just hearing, but reflecting and integrating. So therefore, there is this interdependency between all of us and so many more who aren't directly here and who indirectly have enabled all the causes to be gathered. So we can relate to ourselves all as an accumulation of essential parts that were required for this merit to be accumulated. And in particular, we think of the kindness of our founder teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness, who composed this text, and Lamas Yeshe and Zopa, who established the FPMT. And then, of course, all those who have ensured our center is here and is flourishing.
Dine zada nge ji machine wese nge thone ni gyonsali tegara shu theme ji yurshimena ande pando asme warwa dine zada menga ju ji yu tungen zawa yeba dorji ji ju yeba de di chu thone nga ju xie ra ba de jezang ju tungen de chasang ji goya ji tungen de chasang de chang de ba zang da nga ju ya ji 동반이 대 장수 셈다 동반이고 따위고 삼다지 개와사야 빠도메 바라와래 디네자다 경어지네 안디니기 우미기 야름치선 우메데미 터널 럽전시야 배야 중소 선배기 지수이랑 고미하지 나라이네 안 경어들야 말한게 강투도 직대 한 직파 직시시야라서 선배기다 야부 중서배 가고 고미하래 디네자다 안저 개와사 아시비게 개와디 안도시네 가와 검제 마음반에 항상 가와 검제 다 야고로 와다.
Moreover, my English is somewhat limited. I could not have explained a topic like this without my translator. But then the last point to make is that we should really rejoice in all that we have individually done here, to have achieved this opportunity to hear and reflect and thereby accumulate so much merit. From my side, I certainly rejoice in what you all individually have done, and I also rejoice that I'm fortunate enough to have had this opportunity to present this precious text. So rejoicing is important. It gives us the courage and the strength of mind to want to continue in this way, to use our life so well.
당한 개와 사샤바디 개와디 안에 심제 지 점물이야 안에 지게 심제 탐제 안에 네 나제 시제 네 나제 명화 심제 탐제 류다 셈 디기 용화다 안에 지긴 마초 대저 시제 점물이 차선의 시디 용화 쇼 세비게 저 개와디 되니기 규규와 쇼 세비 말람제 지그래 안에 디마세 당한 지게 쇼소게다 되네 지게 genserie species 당한도 최소다 차상기 내가 자와 남로 간지나 차상지에는 남로 약고 용어 쇼서 변행아주 건바래 네 지가도 최딩게래 근데 차상기 하나도 도신 에빔도 공기 차상 다 차상 자와 남로 약고 용어 쇼서 비기 몰람대다 단디마제 당아주기 최소기 공기다 지기로 말에 당랑을 내가 된 차상인데 지 약고 용어 쇼서 몰람대래 디마제 당아주기 따랑 알아서 이렇게 진짜 세월을 맞춰라 소거나 안 겨울음 쳐서 구세 윤의 땜바다 온코너지기 온공부이기 안시 샬이야 판도 줘야 되게 하는 그디네 지금 약을 쇼서 베디니기 용 규규가 쇼서 도나 당아주 개와디 개회자와 딜라티네 아니 제 라마디기 구세 땜바다 아니 제 도와 심제 탐제 안디기 용하다 점는 날이야 내암다 모조다지 시시에는 안쳐산 시디용와 안데 심지어 탐제 산지 고원 토비 규규와 쇼세베다 모난비아리.
When in a few minutes we come to recite the dedication verses, here I encourage you to guard against the possibility of merely reciting words, but to have in your heart the sincere wish that may all sentient beings throughout all the worlds, may they abide in lasting happiness. To do so, may they, on a temporary basis, gain freedom from all physical pain and suffering. May all illnesses heal. May all conflicts in the world, whether within the homes, whether between individuals or communities or nations, may these cease. May only love and compassion abide within beings' minds. May all the spiritual goals of may all the spiritual goals of our 4 sections here, of the Atisha Center, the Great Stupa, the Nunnery and the Monastery, as well as all the spiritual goals of the FPMT and all other religious organizations, as well as the goals of all organizations that have as their aim the benefit of sentient beings, both human and animal, may these be immediately fulfilled. And moreover, may all the great and holy beings in the world, such as His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and all others, may they remain amongst us and all their aspirations be quickly fulfilled. And then lastly, from my heart, thank you to all of you.